Ever feel like the world is just, well, getting louder?
Definitely.
From the rumble of traffic just outside your window to maybe the hum of your dishwasher in the kitchen, sound is literally everywhere.
It is constant.
But here's the thing. When does that sound cross the line and become noise? And, maybe more importantly, how is it impacting us in ways we might not even notice?
That's the critical question, isn't it?
Today, we're taking a deep dive into this fascinating and sometimes pretty jarring world of noise pollution. We've pulled together a whole stack of sources, everything from personal tips on, like, safe listening habits.
Yeah, the headphone stuff.
Exactly. To these big industrial soundproofing case studies and even some really interesting urban planning strategies.
A wide range.
Our mission here is really to equip you with some solid insights on what noise actually is, its, frankly, surprising effects, and then look at a whole spectrum of solutions. From things you can do right now, individually,
Right in your own life.
all the way up to these big citywide initiatives.
It's a really comprehensive look, I think, at an issue that's just so pervasive. It impacts well-being in ways people often don't connect the dots on until they really stop and listen. Or maybe stop not listening.
Okay, so let's start there then. That basic question. What exactly is noise?
Yeah.
And how do we even measure something like that? It feels so subjective.
It does feel subjective. But technically, noise is essentially unwanted sound.
Unwanted. Okay.
Yeah, any sound that's maybe unpleasant or just too loud or disruptive, it's measured in decibels, dB. And while, a really loud burst, maybe up to 115 dB, might be tolerable for a very short time.
Like a concert or something.
Maybe, briefly. Anything consistently over 80 dB, that's generally what we call noise pollution.
Yeah.
It's sort of the point where sound starts actively working against you.
Right, and it's not just annoying, is it? I mean, you hear pollution and think smog or plastic in the ocean.
Exactly. It's invisible.
But noise pollution, even though we can't see it, it can have really severe long-term effects. So what does this invisible pollutant actually do to your body, to your mind?
Oh, the effects are incredibly wide-ranging, way beyond just your ears.
Yep.
But let's start there. The obvious auditory impacts.
Okay.
Prolonged exposure, especially to levels over 90 dBs, can cause this gradual deterioration of the inner ear.
Which means?
This means hearing loss or even deafness. And that can be temporary sometimes, but often it's permanent. Even just a few hours at 85 dBs or more can cause permanent damage.
Just a few hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then there's auditory fatigue. That's like a temporary hearing loss, or maybe that persistent humming or buzzing sound in your ears after loud exposure.
That buzzing. That sounds a lot like tinnitus, right? I think a lot of people have experienced that maybe after a loud event.
Precisely. That's often how it starts.
Is it always constant, or can it fluctuate? And is it like an early warning, or can it just show up?
Good question. It can be intermittent for some people, popping up after loud noise exposure. But for others, it becomes chronic.
Always there.
Yeah, constant screeching or ringing, humming. Some people describe it like cicadas. And for those who have it constantly, it's just this relentless source of distraction and stress.
I can only imagine.
But here's where it gets, even more concerning.
Yeah.
Beyond just hearing, noise contributes massively to irritation, annoyance, emotional disturbances. It makes it hard to rest, hard to sleep properly.
We've all been there, right? The neighbor's party keeping you up.
Exactly. But the effects go much deeper than just one bad night. It can actually reduce your work efficiency. And it triggers physiological effects, things like your pupils dilating, skin paling, muscles tensing up.
Like a stress response.
It is a stress response. Decreased gastric secretions, increased diastolic blood pressure, that sudden surge of adrenaline. It's basically triggering your body's fight or flight mechanism.
Constantly, just from background noise.
If the noise is persistent enough, yes. Leading to increased neuromuscular tension, nervousness, irritability, anxiety. Research even shows it can adversely affect the development of unborn babies and cause physical symptoms like headaches, giddiness, sweating, nausea, fatigue.
That's incredible. How a sound can trigger such a primal physical reaction without us even really clocking it.
Exactly. And it's not just our internal health. You mentioned conversations. High decibel noise absolutely interferes with communication.
Leading to misunderstandings, maybe more stress.
For sure.
Yep.
And then think bigger picture. The wider world. Animals, ecosystems.
Right. How does it affect them?
Animals rely so heavily on sound. for talking to each other, finding food, avoiding predators. Exposure to loud human-made noise can make pets more aggressive, disoriented, lead to behavioral issues. And in the wild, it messes with things like mating calls, echolocation for bats, which can literally reduce survival and reproduction rates.
So it has real ecological consequences.
Huge ones, like disrupting migration patterns. Think about bats again. If their navigation or feeding is disrupted, that impacts pollination for crops like bananas, peaches, agave, things we rely on.
Wow, I never made that connection.
And maybe one of the most surprising physical effects.
Yeah.
Really intense sound, like a sonic boom from an aircraft.
Yeah.
It can actually cause physical damage, cracks in building walls, even hillsides, break window panes. It's a genuine environmental pollutant, whether we see it or not.
Okay, the physiological toll, the ecological impacts, it's pretty stark. It really highlights how insidious this is.
It really is.
But the good news is, while the problem is everywhere, maybe the solutions start right in our hands. Or maybe more accurately, in our pockets.
That's a good way to put it.
So given all these impacts, what can you, as an individual listener, do right now to cut down your exposure and protect yourself?
Well, let's start with probably the most common daily exposure for many people. Personal listening habits.
Yeah.
Your earbuds, your headphones.
Ah, yes. This feels very relevant. So many of us live with headphones in these days.
We really do.
Yeah.
And the critical, often overlooked tip is just to actively limit the volume.
Okay, what's the recommended limit? Where's that sweet spot?
It's crucial, yeah, because headphones give us this amazing private sound world, but they also put our hearing health directly in our own hands. The general recommendation is to keep your volume at 70 decibels or less.
70. Okay. How do you know if you're hitting that?
Good point. On an iPhone, for instance, you can actually go into Settings, then Sounds and Haptics, then Headphone Safety.
Right.
And you can turn on Reduce Loud Sounds and literally set a maximum, say 75 decibels. It gives you that control.
What about Android phones?
Android settings can vary a bit more depending on the manufacturer, But many phones like Samsung or OPPO, they do offer a media volume limit setting. It might just look like a limit on the volume bar itself rather than a specific dB number, but it achieves a similar goal.
So volume control is absolutely key. What about noise-canceling headphones? Do they actually help protect your hearing or just make things sound nicer?
Oh, they absolutely can be a real, a secret weapon in this fight.
How so?
Well, by actively cutting down that background noise, the train rumble, the office chatter.
Right.
They basically remove the temptation to crank your volume up just to hear your music or podcast over the racket. Makes it much easier to stick to those safer listening levels.
That makes sense. Avoid the volume war.
Exactly. And beyond just volume, it's also vital to think about time. Monitor how long you're spending in loud environments or using headphones, and take breaks. Let your ears rest and recover.
Like giving your muscles a break after a workout.
Precisely. And watch for those warning signs that persistent tinnitus we talked about, or maybe difficulty hearing high-pitched sounds. Get your hearing tested regularly. It's important. The WHO even has this Make Listening Safe initiative, trying to raise global awareness and push for safer standards on listening devices.
So it's a global push, too.
It is.
Okay, personal listening choices are clearly critical, but our homes, they're often noise hotspots themselves. If we extend that idea of individual control, what can we do to quiet down our own living spaces? Especially those common culprits like noisy appliances.
Yeah, home appliances definitely add to the daily noise load. But there's some surprisingly effective tricks for appliance noise reduction.
Like what?
Well, one of the simplest but really impactful is just strategic placement.
Placement?
Yeah, just positioning appliances away from walls or corners can significantly cut down on noise reverberation, the sound bouncing around.
Huh, simple?
And regular maintenance. Cleaning can prevent noisy operation caused by dust buildup. Proper lubrication for moving parts reduces friction, reduces noise.
Okay.
For dryers, that rattling sound. Always check pockets for coins or keys before you start a load. Obvious, but easy to forget. And if it persists, maybe get internal parts checked professionally.
Right. What about things like dishwashers or washing machines? They can be really loud.
They can. So beyond placement and maintenance, you can look at insulation and damping.
Damping?
Yeah, like for a dishwasher, you can install a special moisture-resistant acoustic panel. Something called a quiet board is one type between the front panel and the actual machine body. It absorbs and deflects the sound.
Interesting.
For washing machines and dryers, putting some flooring underlayment or safety foam like thick rubber or cork underneath them can really dampen the vibrations that travel through the floor.
Stop the shaking.
Exactly. And if you want to go further, like for a whole laundry room, you could line the walls with something called mass-loaded vinyl. It's this heavy, flexible material specifically designed to block sound.
Like soundproofing.
Pretty much.
Oh.
Or you can make sure doors seal tightly with weather stripping or door sweeps to keep the noise contained in that room. Acoustic foam panels on walls can also help absorb sound waves in, say, a home office or living room.
Lots of options.
There are. And hey, if you can't completely eliminate unwanted external noise coming in, sometimes you can mask it. Create healthier background sounds, what some call healthy noise.
Like white noise, or...
Could be white noise, or maybe gentle music, sounds of nature like birds or waterfalls, something pleasant to cover up the unpleasant sounds.
Okay.
And of course, the ultimate step is often upgrading. Investing in newer appliances that are specifically designed with noise reduction features can make a big difference right from the start.
So lots of layers to tackling home noise.
Absolutely. The key thing is realizing you do have more control over your home's acoustic environment than you might think. From simple tweaks to, bigger solutions.
That's really practical advice for dealing with that everyday household racket. Now let's zoom out again. If we connect this to the bigger picture, how are whole cities or big industries tackling noise pollution on a larger, more systemic scale?
Yeah, this is where things like innovative urban planning really come into play. And we're definitely seeing a growing emphasis on designing quieter cities.
How do you even do that?
Well, one really exciting concept is something called soundscape design.
Soundscape design.
Yeah, this is an emerging approach in urban planning that tries to consciously blend sounds, mix natural sounds from parks, green spaces, water features, with the unavoidable human-made sounds, aiming for a more soothing overall acoustic environment.
So not just eliminating noise, but creating a better mix of sounds.
Exactly. A great example is Singapore's gardens by the bay.
Oh, I've seen pictures. They look amazing.
They are. And the lush greenery and all the water features, they very effectively absorb and mask the nearby traffic noise. It creates this incredibly tranquil space right in the city. Plus, it boosts biodiversity. Win-win.
That's clever. What else?
Smart urban planning in general is crucial. Things like zoning laws, making sure noisy industrial areas or big commercial hubs are situated away from residential zones.
Keeping the quiet areas quiet.
Right. Creating buffer zones, using mixed-use developments thoughtfully. And then there's infrastructure itself. Engineers are developing quieter road surfaces.
Quieter roads.
Yeah. Things like porous asphalt pavement. It has tiny holes that absorb sound and dampen tire noise. Studies show it can reduce noise by like 5 to 7 decibels when it's new.
That's significant.
It is. Plus, building effective noise barriers along highways and designing bridges and overpasses in ways that shield residential areas better.
And I guess electric vehicles play a role here, too.
Absolutely. That's a huge change coming. As EVs become more common, their near-silent operation drastically cuts down on traffic noise. That means quieter cities and cleaner air. It's a major positive shift.
It really sounds like a holistic approach is needed, especially for industry, right? Where noise sources can be so concentrated and, well, loud. How do noise control experts tackle industrial soundproofing? That must be complex.
Oh, it definitely is. Industrial soundproofing almost always requires tailor-made solutions. Because, every factory floor, every production line is different.
Unique problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a company called SoftDB. They've got like 25 years of experience in this, and they have some great examples. They might create custom acoustic enclosures like soundproof boxes just for specific workstations that are getting hit by noise from multiple machines.
Containing the noise right there.
Yeah. Or they focus on reducing noise right at the source. They managed a 12 dBB reduction, which is a lot from some big electrical transformers, just by using these flexible modular acoustic panels around them.
Wow.
They also designed very specific solutions to quiet down things like industrial dust collectors or those big mechanical presses, often involving custom-built enclosures that basically trap the sound inside.
So it's very targeted.
Very. More broadly, though, industrial source control involves several strategies. Designing quieter machinery in the first place.
Building it quiet from the start.
Right. Ensuring proper lubrication and maintenance, back to those basics. Sometimes installing really noisy machinery inside dedicated soundproof rooms or chambers, covering specific noisy parts of a machine with sound-absorbing materials, or using vibration-damping materials underneath machines to stop the noise traveling through the structure.
Again, stopping it at the source or containing it immediately.
That's the goal, yeah. Either eliminate it or trap it.
Okay, so we have individual actions, Smarter city design, targeted industrial solutions. What about the role of government and community efforts? Are there rules, standards, enforcement?
Absolutely crucial piece of the puzzle. Legislative measures are key. Many places have strict noise standards, but they often differ depending on the area type.
Like different rules for factories versus homes.
Exactly. You might have limits like, say, 75 dBs during the day and 70 dBs at night for industrial zones. Commercial might be lower, like 65 day, 55 night. Residential lower still, maybe 55 day, 45 night.
And then silent zones.
Yes. Silent zones, typically areas around hospitals, schools, courts, have the strictest limits, maybe 50 dB day, 40 dB day, night. They get extra protection.
Makes sense.
And governments are taking steps, or need to take steps, to actually enforce rules on things like loud music from loudspeakers, outdoor parties late at night, noisy political announcements, sometimes putting up noise limit signs near sensitive areas.
And what about just neighborhood stuff? Barking dogs, loud air conditioners?
That often falls to local agencies, like city councils or bylaw enforcement. They handle those common noise ordinance violations. The key thing here is that while all the individual actions and tech solutions are great, you really need clear regulations and consistent enforcement to make a widespread difference. Systemic change needs rules.
What an incredible deep dive this has been into this, pervasive issue of noise pollution.
It really touches everything.
We've covered so much ground, from those subtle, almost hidden health impacts of just constant background noise.
Things we often ignore.
All the way to these really high-tech, multi-layered solutions being put in place in our homes, our cities, our industries. It's become really clear that managing noise isn't just about, avoiding a loud bang. It's about understanding and consciously shaping the soundscapes we actually live in.
Indeed. And, knowledge is one thing, but it's most valuable when it's understood and actually applied.
True.
From just turning down your headphone volume a bit,
Simple step.
to maybe supporting greener urban design initiatives in your own community, every single effort adds up. It contributes to a quieter and ultimately healthier environment for everyone.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? We'd invite you to maybe just take a moment and consider this. What sounds actually define your ideal environment? What does peaceful sound like to you? And how can you start actively curating those sounds, managing the noise in a world that honestly feels like it's only getting louder? Think about not just reducing the sounds you don't want, but maybe intentionally shaping your acoustic surroundings for better well-being, starting today.